Okay, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100, that's what we're talking about here. Now, the first most important thing is the 200 SMA here on the Nasdaq. We're going to get into what's happening throughout the week and what's happening as far as data, but we got to understand the giant line in the sand right now. It's your 200 daily moving average, and today you look good, right? You did what you needed to do, broad markets. Now, you started off pretty cold, right? You pushed into 18.7, rejected back down, got underneath it, but eventually remounted and held that throughout the rest of the day. Again, I'm going to tell you something very simple. You can look like you're bearish here, and I would agree. Like short term, you look like you're bearish. You're making lower highs, you're trending down, you're making lower lows. You still look bad, and you have CPI on Wednesday, PPI on Thursday, so there's more reason to push down, right? But the thing here is you're holding that level. And again, I used some past instances before here on the channel, and again, as long as you can stay above this, right? Not getting multiple daily holds below the 200 SMA, I think you're fine, okay? That's where you're at. But I will say, if you start to hold below this on a daily chart, right? I don't care if you get down, 200 points, whatever it may be, right? There's a lot of downside potential coming back down into, August lows, for instance, possibly the 200 weekly SMA, right? But it's important to know that you have not been having multiple daily candle closes, going all the way back to March 2023. You had that one daily close back here, 1.5 days, give or take, but you bounced back quickly, right? And it was a battle there, right? It wasn't like you held below it the entire day. It was a battle back and forth. So that's where we're at, and that's kind of what's happening here, okay? Now, the other part of this is semiconductors, right? Before we even get to the S&P, we got to look at semis. And it's important to understand that you have not had a full daily close, right? Whole day just held below. The semiconductor ETF going all the way back to January 2023, right? That's a long time. This trend has remained. Every time that you have had one of these, at least one day below, holding the entire day, 24 hours below the 200 SMA, it has eventually led to a 200 weekly retest. You go back to January 2022, you go back to March 2020, you go back to October 2018. Not a complete touch, but damn near within $1, right? So you're very close. So these are important levels to be watching. And why do I mention semiconductors? Because semiconductors probably play the most important role and influence to the Nasdaq as of right now when we look at the largest holdings in the Nasdaq. So very important to understand that. As we move into SPY, I think things look a little bit better here. You're obviously much further off from your 200 moving average. Just getting back into April highs, things like that. You have a lot of support here, right? A lot of levels, right? There's no clear argument here. I would say you have 533, you have 525, and then you have all the way down to 514. So you have a lot of support. Like, it's not just dropping, and it's holding up much better. You go into Dow, right? Dow right here, Dow futures, holding up very good. You're still locally back above those March highs that we had, right? You're still holding that massive level, 40,700, right? You're flirting with all-time highs, got rejected, but you're still really high up there, right? The biggest area of the market's hurting is SMH, semiconductors, and XLK, the tech ETF. That's what you need to know right now. And if these sectors continue to hurt, it's going to drag the Nasdaq down and most likely the S&P for the month of September. So those are the biggest things you're watching. That's what you're watching broader markets on the day. Okay, XLK, SMH, they hold the 200 above that. You look fine. You're a bounce back. It's becoming the bigger buying opportunity. So we have to understand that first before we do anything else. Okay, now we go into the SPY. We look here now. The SPY specifically, you're holding up, right? You're doing what you got to do, right? So you always say you're doing what you got to do in the short term. And what I will say is you're not able to remount previous lows that you established on Thursday. You're getting rejected so far. When you start getting back above 547, move into 550, you get back above 550, we can talk, okay? But so far, it's important to understand we are making lower highs, right? That's very important. As long as you are making lower highs, you are bearish. You might try to flip it, but you're still bearish, right? I'll have a lot of updates for you guys on Twitter. I wasn't able to do the updates just yet. And just so you know, on Twitter, I'm doing some chart requests. So go fill that out right now. I'm going to do a lot of those tonight during the game tonight. So I'll try to get a bunch of these popped out. So you guys expect a bunch of charts from me tonight here on Twitter. The link is down below. So make sure you're following there. Okay. So a little bit further than that, we're going to go quickly into the heat map, what's happening broad markets on the day. Now, again, all in all, pretty green day. You look at the broad markets. You held up. Not a crazy day. You had some bounces across some semis, even though AVGO kind of like bad there for a little bit. but you started bouncing from those lows. Good note to see. You also saw financials. You saw healthcare. Everything you needed to move did well besides Google. Just continues to come like shit. But again, I'm talking about Google. Let's talk about what's happening with Google. What's the real concern here? Okay. That 200 MA, remember I just mentioned that? Well, look, you break below your 200 MA and sellers start to dominate. They really start to pull you down, even though I would argue, you know, like today was like we saw it was a good day, broad markets. We saw like a bounce. It's a little bit of a recovery. I wouldn't say it's great, but there's, you know, still a lot of concern out there. But it was kind of a bounce here, right? I have painters outside my window right now, so they're kind of being loud. But you know, that's not, this is indicative. If you look at this, you would be like, oh man, the S&P, the Nasdaq got slammed. But this is what happens when you lose these massive levels, right? Sellers start to take control. So again, this goes back into NQ, right? You start to really hold below this, that's what's going to happen. Understands, okay? So a few things what we're watching for there. Heat map, okay. But again, we're going into Wednesday. You have CPI. Thursday, you have PPI. Biggest inflation data, and then obviously you're going to have going into next week, I believe, or the week after that, you have your rate decision. So again, a lot of big stuff happening over the next few days. We got to be paying attention to. Also, you guys, if you're interested, this is Mumu. This is the broker that I use for all my trading. When I'm looking at options, we're going to go over options here in a second. But when I'm looking at anything to do with stocks, this is who I use. The link is down below. Cash accounts are now available for unlimited day trades. So make sure you check that out. The link is down below. So again, it is there. If you want to support the channel, you get some free stocks as well when you sign up. Make sure you see all the bonus opportunities as well when you click that link. Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time on this video because again, we're really waiting, right? We're trying to remount previous lows, like I mentioned. Like there's no reason to get too excited. There's no reason to get too bearish yet, right? We came down to our target. We're sitting there. Now we kind of wait to see the reaction, whether buyers really show up. We can, you know, remount some of these previous lows, or what's happening here, make a higher high, ideally, right? So those are the big things here. The DXY, are we getting any indication here on the daily chart? Okay, it's just important we go over this real quick. The DXY is still sitting on our massive level. I do believe the DXY will break down once we get our rate cut. You know, you're sitting on a massive level. We lose a 200 SMA. It's going to drop there as well. 30-year yields. Now, this is something that I kind of mentioned in the previous video as well, is yields are breaking down below 4%. And you guys know how I feel. I personally believe after September, the market heats up dramatically. And I'm net bullish broad markets. Short term, I think the downside is still a concern and a worry. But I will say, I do think yields dropping like this is very good for the markets. And I do believe mortgage rates are going to stimulate the market broadly, like we've mentioned. So you're coming back below 4%. You know, we go back into what I said with mortgage rates again, just really quick. I haven't even checked on the day, but again, yes, you make a new local low on mortgages, right? We go to the 5-year chart and you can look here. You have not been this low on your mortgage rate since going back to March 31st, or April 6th, give or take, 2023. You know, again, just pointing out where we're at, and you're looking to break. So you're looking to get below 2023 lows on your mortgage rate. And again, you're going to see stimulating economy, specifically in real estate, which has been very positive for the broad market. So another thing you have to be considering. I am also watching Bitcoin down here, holding at your 53.5K level. If Bitcoin breaks, which it is possible in September, you break, this could get gross. I will say right now, though, if you're interested in Bitcoin crypto, you have a very clear time to buy Bitcoin. If Trump and that camp wins the election, I think Bitcoin is a massive buying opportunity. I don't care where the hell it is, it'll get bullish. So understand that they're most pro-presidential candidate on Bitcoin I've ever seen in my life. So pretty wild. So things you're looking for right now, broad markets overall. I'm going to make that really clear. We're going to move into stocks. I want to get through this really quick and get you guys out of here. Number one, NVIDIA. Okay, NVIDIA has been holding below 107. This has been the kind of big, line in the sand, right? 106.95, right? Holding below right now. You start getting above this level, you can start pushing back into 110, maybe even 116. Back above 116, I'm pretty bullish on NVIDIA. But below this, I'm looking for downside still. AMD getting back above 137, that is a good. You need to get above 141. But really, you want to get above the 200 SMA to be net bullish. But above 141, I could see us trading back into 145, maybe even higher. But again, you got to be careful here. You got to be very careful. It's very volatile as of recent, so it's been a great name to trade. Know that. AVGO, I mentioned this in Discord. I mentioned two trades here. So I favored the downside here on AVGO, ideally, which we traded to the downside, but we didn't get all the way to the 200 SMA. I took some profits. I'm going to give everyone a warning. I was like, we're not really getting there. We're about 30 cents off, whatever. But anyway, so you broke down, you ended up bouncing back up. Now, when you broke above 140, it was a buying opportunity. I didn't want to go long today, though. I did not trade anything to the upside. I just didn't want to. I'm waiting for confirmation for myself. But above 140, you have room at 143.7. Okay. Now, AVGO specifically. Okay. This is very important to understand. Above 143, 144, right? 143.7, 144. You're very bullish. So if you get back above 144, I'm targeting back in 149, 150, but you got to be very careful with that level. It's a very, very, very important level. Just know that. Okay. A little bit further than that, SMCI. SMCI is one of my favorite names on the downside because I do believe they're a fraudulent company. I've been very clear about this, but it's very, very volatile. So, for instance, mentioned it under 4.8. It was a short. You broke down to like 382, bounced back up. Again, right? Got to take profits, got to lower your stops. So it's really volatile back. I think it's going to end up dropping to 360 over time. But again, what I'd be looking for there, know that. PayPal. One of the only names I'm really interested in like buying down here. So I mentioned PayPal a lot. And so PayPal above 68, I think it's an opportunity. And right now you're getting that break, retest. Hopefully you start bouncing back up. This is one of your opportunities. I think stops are really tight here. You get a daily close back below 68. You just scrap the trade, but the upside here is crazy, especially if the market does bounce over time. And again, you have crazy upside. So I like what PayPal is doing above this level. It's really nice, but we'll see what happens. Apple had their Apple event today. Really, you already knew everything that was released data-wise about them and what they were announcing with the iPhone. But what I will say is if they break, Apple has two. It has a trade that I mentioned here at the end of the day. If you held on the 5-minute, I would have entered this immediately. If you lose 217 here on Apple, you can get a 5-minute candle close and a retest 217, trading it down to 215.75, then 215 overall, 214.6. But you just bounced here on the day, couldn't get that opportunity. Okay. So what I'm watching there, I think Apple's iPhone sales will uptick. I just short term, it's just like it doesn't really matter till the data comes out and then you start seeing the sales numbers. So what we're looking at there specifically, that's broad markets. What I'm looking at, guys. I can go over more options of what I'm looking at, but again, like short dated, short time. Again, I'm only going like 2 weeks out tops on going short if I'm day trading. Again, they're very cheap. Like the Apple contracts move really good. Also, lows in these are 270 on the day. Highs, I believe, are at $4 on the day. Like they move really, really, really good. Again, AMD as well. I'm telling you right now, they move very, very good as well. The 137s, again, we'll go for next week, not this week. But the 137s are $4.10. Let me see the highs on the day just so I can be positive for you guys. The highs on the day were on 523. And again, it's kind of moved in a bullish sense on the day. So again, this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm trading. So you guys understand. If you have questions, comment down below. I'll see you guys next time. Again, the Discord link is down below. Also, the Twitter link is down below. So make sure you check in if you have any interest. Charts will be going live later on tonight around when the game starts. So have a good one, guys. See you all tomorrow.